Hello, beautiful souls. You are now listening to Deep Chats with Chris Cipher. And this is your host, Chris Cipher. Yeah, how's it going? I just wanted to speak on a few things lately. I've been lacking in my podcasting and my intellectual posting, so I'm just gonna pick up with that. My views have been dwindling, I'm not gonna lie to you. And this special episode, every episode is special to me because I put time and energy into them. But this special episode is going to be about habits. What is a habit? Good habits, bad habits. How can we change habits? Why do we form habits? Habits. HABITS. What is it? Okay, so a habit, in my personal definition, is something that you have an almost automatic tendency towards. And these can come from childhood tendencies, from maybe your environment, picking up things just from energies around you. These can come from many sources, but they can either be learned, which means it's something that you pick up over time, something that you are taught, so something that is unnatural to you as when you were born, or they can be hereditary habits, something that was passed down from a prior generation. These can even be emotional tendencies to things that seem a little more niche. Maybe, you have a certain way of doing the dishes, or just some ridiculous examples. You have just maybe like I don't know, rub your nose randomly, or just like your parent, whatever the case may be. Hereditary habit is something that is passed down to you and not formulated over time. But each of the habits, whether it be learned or hereditary, are formable and changeable. So just because you're at a genetic predisposition does not mean that you have lost the battle. Myself, as well as many people that I know, have hereditary dispositions for alcoholism and mental health shortcomings, but they have overcome what has plagued their bloodline. And so just because you may have something in your family does not mean that you are doomed. Just a little quick message of encouragement. But back to habits, though. We form habits. A lot of times we form habits without even giving them conscious thoughts. I mean, a lot of people have a morning routine. That is a habit, something that you do. A habit, after it's been propagated and over a prolonged period of time, becomes almost compulsory, becomes almost an action driven by subconsciousness. So, meaning just that it's not something that you even put a lot of conscious thought into. Perhaps the first thing you do when you wake up is you wash your face or you check your phone, which I think is a bad habit personally, but I'm not here to talk about that. And maybe you take a shower when you wake up. I like to take a shower when I wake up just to get me awake. I like when But if you've been alive for any amount of time, you've picked up some habits throughout your life. And I just think, as a side note, maybe relating to the topic that I'm speaking about, is the influence of our surroundings on our conscious as well as subconscious mind. Because you can pick up habits around from just people that you've been around and not even really notice that you have, because maybe it's like socially normal or just people around you are doing it, so it doesn't really stand out to you. But that's just something to look out for, potentially just, protecting yourself and your energy by monitoring and keeping beneficial your friend group. Just something that I speak about. Um, just for example, maybe something in your community or society is acceptable or deemed normal, and you pick up the habit just because it's something that is familiar to you and that you know and that is comfortable. A lot of times growing up, I've heard that we are creatures of habit. What does that mean? I think humans are just really can to habits. We have a tendency to find a routine that works for us and stick to it, at least as far as, like, normal psychology and just human nature. Sorry, I'm a little sleepy, I guess. But we tend to want to find security and familiarity. And I think maybe that might be due to the fact that the earth around us is constantly changing. It's constantly moving from one place or way to another. And sometimes in this crazy life, the only things that we can control is what we do. And habits are a really good way to give our mind some sense of pleasure and a surety that, okay, so I have this habit. Maybe every day at 7 o'clock in the morning I go on a walk, and I can count on that walk. I can count on that walk tomorrow and the next day to know that when I wake up and do this and that and that and that, I'll go on a nice walk, and it would be refreshing and it'd be nice and beautiful to me, and I can find security in that. And I think that's why the human brain is so kind of connected to building these habits, is because just psychologically we like to know what is going on, and then especially in days like these. But I say days like these just because it seems chaotic, but I've listened to talks from many years ago, like from the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, and 20s even. And they spoke about things just about the same exact way. So this applies to any time, whatever time you're listening to it, because things have been chaotic, or these things have seemed chaotic. And, we've allowed that. But anyway, what was I saying? Habits. Yes. So, just chaotic times, and you want to feel like you have some structure, like you have some say in it. Because out there in nature, we don't have much say. A tornado comes and whips through the forest. If you're living in the forest, you don't really got much of an option but to try to escape. You can't do much about a tornado. You can try to clean up after aftermath, but fire comes whipping through. You're in the forest. There's not really much you can do if it's already an established fire. But try to get out alive. So now that we've moved ourselves into cities and communities, and we feel like we've created our own ecosystem where we have a kind of a structured environment, we like to feel like we are in control of things. And something that we can control is our habits. Well, what is a bad habit and what is a good habit? That's a very good question, but I really don't like the word necessarily bad or good in describing anything. So let's just say helpful and harmful. And it kind of, differentiates a little bit better. It's more self explanatory. If it helps you, you consider it good. If it's harmful, you can consider it bad. Just in an over generalized state of speaking on habits, kind of a way to look at it. I'm gonna drop this one and then drop the part two. So check that out. Habits. Chris Cypher, Deep Shots with Chris Cypher. This is me until the next segment.